About a year ago, my next guest made his 10th appearance at the London Palladium, and on opening night, they gave him a 15-minute standing ovation. But a reception like that is nothing new for this fella. He's been a headliner since the early 50s. Recently has generated a whole new wave of interest in his special talent. It's fascinating because I was there in the 50s, saw his opening night at the Copacabana in New York, which will long be remembered as one of the great nightclub openings of all time. And his star ran across this country and most of the world. It seemed overnight. Every comedian, every impressionist was doing Johnnie Ray. Johnny was out there, one hit record after another. It's been an extraordinary career, and he's going to come right out and remind you at this moment of some of his great hits. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Johnnie Ray.
Well, gee, but it's great after staying out late, walking my baby back home. Arm in arm over meadow and farm, I'm walking my baby back home. We go along harmonizing a song, or I'm reciting a poem. The owls go by and they give me the eye, I'm walking my baby back home. Can we stop this again? We stop for a while, she gives me a smile. Come here. We like this, don't we? On the bears. And cuddles her cheek to my chest. What are you laughing at? And we starting to pet, and that's when I get her powder all over my vest. And just when I try to straighten my tie, she wants to pop my comb. One kiss and then we gotta do it again, 'cause I'm walking my baby home. I went walking down by the river, feeling very sad inside, when all at once I saw in the sky the little white cloud that cried. He told me he was very lonesome, and no one cared if he lived or died, and said sometimes the thunder and lightning would make all the little clouds hide. He said, have faith in all kinds of weather, or the sun will always shine. Do your best and always remember the dark clouds pass with time. He asked me if I tell all my world just how hard those little clouds try. That's how I know I'll remember that little white cloud that sat right down and cried. If your sweetheart secret is only false emotion that you feel. If your heartache seems to hang around too long, and your blue keep getting bluer with each song, well, now remember, sunshine can be found behind the cloudy sky. So let your head down and go right on, baby, and cry. Thank you. Thank you.
Johnnie Ray! Bravo! That's really it. We'll be right back after this message. You've met these youngsters from
Yeah, we did. We said a
From
little
Russia?
commercial.
and Marilyn and Arnold?
Yeah, old friends.
It's a great thrill to see you again, you son of a gun. And all that success in London.
I remember how long you and I go back before our respective careers sort of got into focus. Merv had just finished his band singing days.
Oh, yeah.
And you hadn't gone to Warner Brothers yet.
No.
And we ran across each other in Washington, D.C.
That's right.
And he was sightseeing, I was sightseeing. And we sat on the steps of the Jefferson Memorial pondering
That
our
is
future,
right, John.
saying, what are we going to do with my life? This is B.C. before Cry. And I feel a little nervous in this studio, Merv.
Why?
Well, the last time I was in this particular studio on another show, I was seeing a little white cloud that cried, and the scenery fell on me.
Oh, my Lord. A
Did
mirror?
I make that up? It's the
No.
truth. Standing right there.
I remember more your pondering. You were already by then the biggest star. Record star in the world, the biggest selling record star. At the time I saw you in Washington, and you were worried about the future, and I thought, isn't that strange? Why would one as important as he is, who has made it and the greatest success in nightclubs, be worried about the future?
It wasn't that so much as all of a sudden, you know, because I was in my early 20s at that time. And you just can't do that to a kid and all of a sudden have people. And I wasn't used to that. I was born and raised on a farm up in Oregon. And I knew I wanted to do for a living, I wanted to be in show business. But I wasn't prepared for that literally overnight thing, and it was terrifying. And so it left me in a very awkward position in the sense that I feel a bit insecure about it. But those days, I'm glad are all over because I'm having more fun now with my career and my work than I've ever had before. And I sort of enjoy the way things are now. And I'm so happy to see these kids come over. We were in the green room watching.
Right.
After the show, we have a few other more questions all of us want to ask you.
Because the minute you started singing, they just knew those songs, and you from Russia, where you leaked through the Iron Curtain.
Oh, yeah, that's a very funny thing about Pravda, because in 1954, I was making a motion picture called There's No Business Like Show Business with Marilyn Monroe.
You played a priest.
Yeah, Donald O'Connor, Mitzi Gaynor, Ethel Merman, I'd say that, and Dan Daly. And Pravda denounced Marilyn and I as two of the prime examples of Western decadence. You know, we with the fans screaming and hollering and all that sort of carrying on, which was fun. And then Marilyn, because, you know, such the sex symbol that they tried to label on her. And so Marilyn, at the time, I think she took it a little bit seriously until I took a copy to the studio and I said, isn't this the funniest thing you've ever seen? And then she saw how funny it was. But at the time, it wasn't.
Is this the best time of your life?
Right now, yeah, I'm having more fun. I'm traveling a lot more now than I ever have before.
If you had to tell the new rock stars who are coming along and getting not quite the adulation that you experienced, because yours was frantic. I can remember driving down 6th Avenue. You'd be staying at the Warwick, and I thought it was a war protest or something because there were literally thousands of people in the street just waiting at the door to see him come out. And at your wedding, I remember the mayor stood up for you, was your best man at the wedding. Was that a big a deal? Is there any advice you'd give? I mean...
Experience is about the only thing. Like, there are no two patterns to success, as you well know. I mean, there's no two, as they say, Cinderella stories. Everything happens to everybody in their own way. I wouldn't advise anybody, unless they really had their heart, and unless they had a calling, to try to get into show business, because the competition is so stiff these days, and there's so many young kids out there with so much talent that it would discourage me if, at my age now, I'm 50. If I was starting out now, I wouldn't even try it.
Really?
No.
What about the pressures of it?
Well, the pressures, I think you have more pressures doing this. I don't know how you do this
Pressures
show.
off the show, not on.
Well, off the show, there's no pressures. You just, you're nice to the people, and you, they want an autograph, you sign an autograph, and if they want to have a picture taken with you, you do that. And the things that I get a big kick out of are the, what I call the fringe benefits that go with it. Like earlier this year, I was invited to go back to the Palladium, where I had been last year. Then at the Queen Mother, they were having a royal performance because of the Jubilee year. And they asked me, and I said, well, it's very much like Arnold said about putting something back in, you know, when you've taken so much out. And I felt, well, England, well, the British Empire, Australia, Ireland, Scotland has always been so good to me over the years that I thought, well, at my own expense, I'd be very happy to go over and do the show for the Queen Mother. Well, so we went, and it was quite a very exciting thing. And later, when it was all over, I found out that it's a very good thing that I went, because the request had come from the palace itself, and I was the only American on the bill, and I didn't figure that out. So you know, that's a big thrill. I mean, those are the things that just go with it, that make you feel a lot better and makes it all worthwhile.
Right. Where do you head for now?
Head for now. Oh yeah, I go to Palumbo's in Philadelphia, which is one of my favorite hangouts.
Oh,
I love that. And then we'll go back to Australia later next year, and then back to England for another tour.
Well, somewhere in between those dates, come back and visit us more often.
I love that.
It's great to see you again.
Same here.
That's Johnnie Ray sitting there, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll be right back after this message.
Walking my baby back home. Arm in arm over meadow and farm, I'm walking my baby back home. We go along harmonizing a song, or I'm reciting a poem. The owls go by and they give me the eye. I'm walking my baby back home. Can we stop this again? We stop for a while. She gives me a smile. Come here. We like this, don't we? On the bears. And cuddles her cheek to my chest. What are you laughing at? And we started to pet, and that's when I get her powder all over my vest. And just when I try to straighten my tie, she wants to borrow my comb. One kiss and then we gotta do it again, 'cause I'm walking my baby home. If I tell all my world just how hard those are the clouds to ride, that's how I know I'll remember that little white cloud that sat right down and cried. If your sweetheart secret, you'll feel better if you cry when waking from a I went walking down by the river, feeling very sad inside, when all at once I saw in the sky the little white cloud that cried. He told me he was very lonesome, no one cared if he lived or died, and said sometimes the thunder and lightning would make all the little clouds hide. He said, have faith in all kinds of weather, or the sun will always shine. The dark clouds pass with time. He bad dream, don't you sometimes think it's real, but it's only false emotion that you feel. If your heartache seems to up and round too long, and you're blue, keep getting bluer with the sun. Well, now remember, sunshine can be found behind the cloudy sky. So let your head down and go right on, baby, and cry. Thank you. Thank you.
About a year ago, my next guest made his 10th appearance at the London Palladium, and on opening night, they gave him a 15-minute standing ovation. But a reception like that is nothing new for this fella. He's been a headliner since the early 50s. Recently has generated a whole new wave of interest in his special talent. It's fascinating because I was there in the 50s, saw his opening night at the Copacabana in New York, which will long be remembered as one of the great nightclub openings of all time. And his star ran across this country and most of the world. It seemed overnight. Every comedian, every impressionist was doing Johnnie Ray. Johnny was out there, one hit record after another. It's been an extraordinary career, and he's going to come right out and remind you at this moment of some of his great hits. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Johnnie Ray.
Well, gee, but it's great after staying out late. Well,